Yeah.
So Will Smith told a story about how he was offered The Matrix and he
Hmm.
turned it down
Hmm.
because he didn't understand it.
Didn't
And
get it.
he didn't get it, right?
Hmm.
And so he turned it down and he chose to do Wild Wild West instead, which
Hmm.
that I mean, I think we could say that was it maybe not a mistake, but I think he'd like to have that one back, right? Okay. Okay. So while you may not covet any roles,
Mm,
is there a decision you made to turn down a role and you later thought maybe that wasn't
no,
never happened
no, no. I turned down Pulp Fiction.
for which role? The Sam Jackson one?
Of course.
So why
And
did you turn
I do not regret that decision at all. You know why?
mm,
Because it turned out to be the star-making role of Sam Jackson's career. Star-making role. That's the role that made Sam Jackson a star. And I contributed to that by
I
staying
hope
out the way.
I hope you remind him of that.
No, no, I don't need to remind him of that. I mean,
I'm
it's kind of,
kidding.
we've never talked about it, but it's just, it's like, no, I don't regret that at all. I don't regret any of those things.
By the way, that's a very mature, grounded perspective. Instead of looking at it on what you lost out, you looked at it as what the person gained
Yeah, it
because you decided it wasn't for you.
wasn't for me, but
Mm.
he walks away with that movie.
So why did you turn it down?
There were things about the script that just I didn't like. So, you know, there
You're
are
like,
things
I'm gonna
about the
let.
script that are fun, but there are
Hmm.
other things about the script that I just didn't like. So,
So
it wasn't for me.
you let that fish swim by.
Yeah.
Um, on the other hand, what's
Hmm.
love got to do with it? You turned
Hmm.
down several times before
Turned
you
that down
actually
5 times. Yes.
5 times.
Yep.
So what was wrong with it when they kept coming to you? What didn't you like?
Well, um, I felt that it was written really, the writing was really strong with respect to Tina's character, and it wasn't strong enough with respect to Ike's character.
Mm.
But, once I recognized that Angela was going to be playing Tina, I thought, well, I have to do this now because I was a fan of hers. I had worked with her before. We had done Boys in the Hood together. We had almost made another movie together in 1988 with Cicely Tyson, the late Cicely Tyson, and the late Natasha Richardson. Um, and that movie unfortunately never got made. I was a huge fan of Angela's because I had seen her in Joe Turner's Come and Gone, the August Wilson play with Delroy Lindo. And I needed to be there to work with her and to provide the kind of support that I knew she would need.
So how did you, knowing that there were some things you didn't like about how they wrote the character, how did you make it your own?
I would change the script every day,
Every
every day.
day. Okay.
I would rewrite it.
What is I don't know if you can recall, but what's in I'm sure you did a lot of ad libs, but what's maybe a scene or something that we might recognize that you probably changed a lot, but like what's something we might recognize that you
Well,
like you went to work on?
everybody, I think, you know, most Black folks who enjoy the movie always quote "eat the cake" anime.
Yes.
Um, but for me, I think the two things that I did that I think that were most effective were I made this decision that whenever there was violence, whenever Ike was being physically abusive with Tina, that you actually never see it.
Mm.
Like you never actually see Ike make physical contact with her when he strikes her, when he punches her, when he kicks, any of that stuff. There's always something obscuring it. And the reason for that was so that it would be the viewer's imagination that was really involved in creating whatever that moment is, so that the viewer would have to participate in it. And
Mm.
then there's that scene that's, I guess the rape scene when she's in the recording studio and the recording booth and we're at the house and blah, blah, blah. And I insisted that he couldn't bring the camera. He wanted to bring the camera. The director wanted to bring the camera in the booth with us, which was a very, very tight, enclosed space. And I was like, you have to leave the camera. The camera has to be outside of this booth. You can only shoot us from the waist up. You can't shoot us from the waist down. And we're only doing this 4 times.
Wow. But I imagine, I mean, like when you're setting these boundaries,
Yes.
what's your thought? Like, what are you trying to accomplish by setting those boundaries?
Well, it's threefold. One is to make sure that the tone of the thing plays well, so that it plays honestly and truthfully, and that it's not gratuitous. You know what I mean? And to protect both myself and my scene partner, Angela, from overdoing it. There's a danger in any kind of physical activity, whether you're an athlete or an actor. If you're a baseball player and you stand at the plate, you don't swing for the fences every time they pitch you the ball. And so with a scene like the rape scene, this is not something that you want to engage in emotionally. You don't want to go take that emotional journey all day, right? You want to sort of get in and get out. You want to do the thing, perform, but you don't want to be swimming in that kind of emotional turmoil all day because you have other things to do. Excuse me.
So along those same lines, I mean, because of the person you're playing and because the story is based off Tina's biography, you're in the middle of that too. So how do you emotionally handle the fact that you are playing somebody who is an abuser? How do you emotionally deal with that?
Having had some experience with that as a young man, I did a lot of counseling. I found a great African-American therapist who helped me deal with my anger issues because I had been physical with my first wife. I got married when I was 23 years old. My first wife was 21, and our relationship was very volatile. And I was physically abusive with my first wife, to my regret and to my shame. And because of that, I had to go and look for some help. I had to find a therapist, and I worked with this man for 4 or 5 years on all of those issues. So I was very familiar with the territory and with the emotional landscape of what, brings a person to that place where they feel the need to be abusive to their partner. And so, that's another reason why, I said to the director, like, we can only do this a limited amount of time. This is not emotional territory that I want to be swimming in all day. I don't want Angela swimming in it all day. I don't want people on set having to deal with that kind of, volatile, emotional kind of stuff all day while we're trying to make a film.
Mm. Um, for you, did you ever figure out what was the source of your anger? What was bringing that out of you?
I didn't really specifically work on the source of my anger. It was really about how to recognize it when it was coming up, what my triggers were, and what were the behaviors that I could use that would counter it, that would help me to move in a different direction, as opposed to thinking that being violent or angry or overbearing or intimidating or any of that were going to actually resolve whatever the issue.